Today I want to talk about why I've been playing a lot more Rocket in Season 4 and how I got to rank 939 with him. And I had done so with a 70% win rate. First, I want to go into a list of reasons as to why he's so good. One, he pairs really well with my Peni duo, Brandon Grych, as the Rocket Peni team up is a lot stronger than people realize, and a lot of the times it catches people off guard because they don't expect that kind of damage. There's team ups that are a lot more overt and a lot more obvious about the damage and the impact they have, such as the one with Magic and Doctor Strange and that chain ability. It's very easy to see why it's powerful and know what you need to do to counter against it. Whereas with the Rocket and Peni team up, that addition of extra spider mines catches people off guard because they're not expecting that kind of burst to come from the webs a lot of times. And that element of surprise is really useful when it comes to securing picks in order to win the fights. Second reason is that many of the people who are playing support are a lot of times people who are DPS or tank mains who are filling onto the support role. A lot of the times too, because of the fact that people look as strategist role or as the support role as such an easy role to do because the act of healing your teammates is easier than the act of doing damage, a lot of them don't actually play the support role very well at all. A lot of those same DPS players who play very resource dependent and need that constant heals whenever they're playing DPS are also that same way when they're playing support. So they position in ways where they need constant attention, they need constant heals, they need constant resources to stay alive. And the higher up you climb in elo, the more you're trying to be as efficient as possible with your resources and not waste them. And you can't have everybody on the team be resource dependent. So I found that a lot of the support players in a lot of my games were struggling on the support role because they were getting dived or they didn't know how to defend themselves because they didn't play the role often enough. So I'd end up taking their place as Rocket anyway. Another reason is that there are a lot of insta-lock DPS that refuse to switch in high elo, so I end up feeling as support or tank anyway. Third reason is that strategists make the best shot callers. A good strategist has great positioning and they know what's happening at all times. They know how many of their teammates are low, they know who needs to back up, they can see what angles enemies are approaching from. While the tanks are busy looking forward and holding down the objective, and the DPS need to focus on getting kills and taking off angles, the strategists are there that can see the entire battlefield, so if you have a good understanding of macro and the push and pull of the fight, you can make really good shot calls that could lead your team to victory, especially if you're tracking ultimates and communicating who's going to do what and when. My ability to position, stay alive, and also communicate to my team what we needed to do led us to a lot of victories. Tanks are really good at communicating when they want to take space, but the strategists are really good at communicating when your team needs to give up space. Fourth reason is I'm not afraid of Magneto ults. A lot of times in high elo, those Magnetos are not missing as many of their ultimates as they did before. And there are so many times where Mag would ult and he would get a free pick on either a Cloak and Dagger, Invis Woman, and Luna, and the ult would be totally worthless anyway. Whereas as Rocket, I rarely ever got hit with a Magneto ult. So while Magneto might be a common staple in a lot of games, I don't have to worry about using my ultimate and then dying right afterwards. Fifth reason is Res Beacon. Res Beacon is super powerful. Because of the fact that in higher elo, people are going to make fewer mistakes, by being able to negate one death on my team, that allows my team a lot more leeway and a lot more forgiveness in these games. When a single pick can determine who wins or loses a fight, a Res Beacon is an incredibly powerful tool. Number 6, Rocket's movement. Rocket's movement is incredibly fun and allows for a lot more creative positioning and creative ways to attack. By being able to wall dash 20 meters, you're able to get to areas much quicker than anybody else could. His movement is incredibly underutilized, and while most people look at Rocket and think that you just sit back and hold right click on him, that's not utilizing his kit to its fullest extent. And by using those wall dashes, I was able to keep myself alive a lot more and require less peeling from my team. And because of my ability to survive those dives from multiple people at once and still be healing my team at the same time, I was able to help my team a lot more by having just greater uptime. Because when you're playing strategist, everyone is trying to kill you. And my ability to position was already really powerful, so when you combine it with a wall dash that can send you 20 meters in any direction, it just made me that much stronger at staying alive. And a lot of times, even in high elo, people don't peel for you. Because of that, I need a character that's able to survive a lot longer without the help of their team. Seventh reason is his base healing is so strong that even if the enemy team is support ulting, if your team backs up and gives up space temporarily, just through the use of his right clicks alone, you're able to help sustain your team as long as they give up space. Rocket's healing is seen as weak for some reason, but he's actually one of the strongest healers in the game. Because his ultimate doesn't actually give you any stats towards healing, it's just overshield. So at the end of the game, when you see Luna's healing and Invis Woman's healing, and you see that it's the exact same with Rocket's healing, that was only Rocket's right click, whereas with those heroes, that includes their ultimates. So although Rocket might not have the biggest burst on a single target, he's got the greatest ability to sustain his team over time. On top of that, because of the fact that his orbs can go a very long distance but also bounce off of walls, I'm able to reach allies that I normally wouldn't be able to. Because while Luna, Cloak and Dagger, and Invis Woman are all very powerful, they still need to have perfect LOS in order to help their teammates out, whereas I can bounce orbs around corners. And to top it off, if you bounce orbs at people's feet, you get even more healing. One of the things I learned from my GG No Heals video is how powerful Rocket's healing is when you bounce orbs at their feet. Eighth reason, Rocket actually has crazy good damage. When you combine that with his ultimate, you can shred a tank and completely destroy them. And by securing a pick on their front line and immediately taking down a tank, you make it so the enemy team can't push. Typically in a 6v6, I'm going to default to sort of heal bodying and keeping my team alive, but the moment that we get a numbers advantage, I can immediately turn that damage on and help my team secure kills much quicker. Ninth reason, his ultimate is really powerful and charges really fast. Because his ultimate is so strong, I'm able to use his ultimate a lot more than my other support can. I will typically charge it 1.5 to 2 times faster than my other support. So a lot of the times what I'm trying to do with his ultimate is use it to help keep the momentum of the game. If one of my teammates manages to secure a pick, I'll wait a little bit of time, and then I'll use my ultimate a bit more aggressively to help secure us in a 6v5 fight that staggers them even longer. And by the time the enemy team is ready to regroup, my ult charge is already back to 50%, and my other support still has their ultimate ready. And if you know how to place Rocket's ultimate in creative places, you get a lot more value out of them. It is extremely rare that I place an ultimate that doesn't help us secure a kill or two, and they almost never get completely destroyed before we do that. And the 10th reason is he was never banned. Well, there are certain meta heroes that are seen as powerful or strong during that time. The advantage to playing these other heroes that are typically seen as weak is a lot of people never ban them and they never expect the sort of potential that comes from them. There's also something really fun about proving the potential of these heroes that people see as weak, or too simple to provide great value. And while most people might only see your ability to aim as the only skill that you need in a shooter, hero shooters provide you with more ways to express yourself. So while I might not have the best aim, I am really good at positioning and moving on Rocket. There's always more than one way to express yourself in hero shooters. Those are all the reasons why I think Rocket is such an incredibly strong pick right now. And with all that out of the way, I'm going to show you the game that made me realize that I'm probably just going to be sticking to Rocket for a little while. In this game here, I had started as tank first, and on the first round, my entire team had gotten totally stomped, and we didn't even capture the point a single time. The DPS role was of course taken by other people, my supports were getting picked off rather early, and when they said they were having trouble staying alive against the divers, I offered to switch with them and play Rocket because I'm confident in my abilities to be able to stay alive longer than they would be. And a lot of times, whenever I'm playing DPS or I'm playing tank, and I get the feeling that I'm not getting healed very much, I'm sure that my teammates are probably also feeling a little bit of the same. So in those moments when I start to feel that, I offer to switch with one of the supports because it's clear that a lot of them aren't super comfortable on the role. And while you're going to see a lot of people with Lord supports, that's just because people have played a lot. That doesn't mean that they are support mains. And as someone who's really good at all three roles, it's very obvious when someone is not used to playing support. So that all being said, we're going to jump into this match here where I'm playing Rocket. I'm going to explain my positioning and everything I'm doing along the way. I do mess up my rollout here a little bit, but as Rocket with your wall dashes, really get used to doing those rollouts out of spawn because of the fact it gets you back to the fight much faster. Don't always drop your res stations in the same places. Try to move them around and put them in places that people won't go to. If you place them in the same spot every time, you become too predictable to the enemy, making it much easier for them to find the res station and destroy it. Here during this time, I'm playing back until I can get a good sense of what is happening and what the enemy's team comp is. As Rocket, you want to be playing at the very back of your team, as far away as possible, so that way you can get a good LOS for everybody on your team. It also means that if your support needs healing, you can heal them as well, but also because of your mobility, you're able to stay alive even if someone were to jump you. And once you see that your team gets a pick, now you can play a little bit more aggressive. Hella using her ultimate is not scary to me as Rocket. If I have a map with good geometry like that, I am absolutely using my wall dashes to try and help burn her out of the air because of the fact that you do so effectively with Rocket's damage. And with my friend on Penny, he's able to plant a trap right underneath her that kills her instantly the moment that she drops. And here, just like in the first round, my Luna has a difficult time fighting the Iron Fist. She ends up falling to him, but luckily because I have my res station, I'm able to negate that one mistake. Once I know it's safe and we have control over the objective, I'm getting closer to help join my teammates. But I am also trying to be mindful of where the Iron Fist was, so that way I don't get jumped by him. At the same time though, I'm trying to keep some distance away from them because I never want to be standing too close to my tanks and too close to my DPS. The moment you're standing too close to your teammates, you make it very easy for people to jump you. So playing strategist is a lot about understanding that push and pull of the fight. You want to push up and help your teammates, but you don't want to be so close that you make yourself an easy target. You can see me applying heals here to my teammates, but also being mindful of having this pillar here that I'm using as cover. At the same time, my ability to climb on it also means I can use it as an escape tool if need be. Once the Iron Fist started to dive me, my main goal was to try and survive. At the same time, knowing it was just him, I used my ultimate in an offensive way to try and secure a kill on him. Even if my ultimate, the only thing that it did was secure this kill on that Iron Fist, it would have been worth it because of the fact that now it puts us in a 6v5 and there's no way the enemy team is going to try and make a push that way. A lot of times Rocket's ult can be destroyed, but if you can secure a kill within that time that it does get destroyed, you immediately got the value you needed out of it. It'll charge really fast, so it'll come back pretty quick anyway. But this is what I mean by using Rocket's ult to control the momentum. I'm constantly trying to use Rocket's ultimate to give my team that numbers advantage. You can also see here from where I placed it, the enemy team doesn't have LOS of it. A lot of times what you're trying to do with Rocket's ultimate is place it in a spot where it cuts the enemy team in half. Here, the only person who had LOS of that ultimate was Iron Fist, but he couldn't do anything about it. And the enemy team of his is unable to help him because they can't get LOS of that ultimate unless they walk past the choke and put themselves in a more dangerous position. This is how you can secure the most value out of Rocket's ultimate. Rocket's ultimate is a sphere, but it's a really big sphere. And although putting it up high sometimes makes the radius smaller, even though it's smaller, it gets more value because it has greater uptime. So always be trying to find interesting places to put it around the map that helps your team out. Bucky here was able to use that amplifier to secure more kills and stagger the enemy even longer. And now because we have such an advantage, my team is pushing forward and trying to get more staggers and pressure them back and slow their progression towards the objective. So knowing that the enemy is down, it is safe for me to walk forward. Knowing that the enemy team has downtime in which they are trying to regroup, I have my res station and I want to get it up as soon as possible. And once again, always try to put your res station in places that are different so that way the enemy team doesn't know where they are. Here, as you can see, once Venom dies me, I can survive a lot easier on Rocket than I could on any other support. Plus, combine that damage with my teammates, we were able to secure the kill on Venom. Now, as the enemy Luna is using her ultimate and ours doesn't have her ult ready, we need to back up and give up space temporarily in order to survive so we can fight for the point. What I'm trying to do now in this position is keep myself alive and keep my Luna alive long enough that she can secure her ult so hopefully we can contest the objective. Even though the enemy team is capping the point right now and I don't want it to flip, it is not my job to be on the point. It is more important that I try to survive and we get somebody else out there who can contest that me and Luna can heal to keep the objective. We were able to buy enough time to allow my duo here, Brandon Grych on Peni, the chance to use his ult. At the same time, our Luna now has her ult as well, so even though we're down some players, we're still able to contest it for longer. Brandon is able to secure some excellent picks during the use of his ultimate here, and Bucky is going in for the cleanup, but while Magneto is using his ult, he's going to either be trying to look for Luna, me, or Bucky. And since I can't shoot any orbs to help my team, my first goal right now is to just try and survive and get out of the LOS, and I'll go back to healing once I know his ultimate is done. By understanding that push and pull of the fight so well, I'm always able to keep myself safe while constantly applying heals to my team and keeping the ability to shot call. So even though in the first round where my supports were constantly dying due to the fact that they were constantly being dove, this round felt much easier because of the fact that I was able to position and understand that push and pull so well to help keep my team alive. As a support, you want to make yourself difficult to get. You're always trying to hang out at the maximum range at which you can be effective and help your team, but also not too far away from them. But also not so close that the enemy team wants to dive or attack you. I'm always being mindful of my positioning and my cover, and only walking out and playing aggressive when I know it's safe. Bucky was actually able to stop the Venom from touching the point there, which meant that now we were able to secure this round. So even though after the first round, when our team got completely stomped, we went into the second round and were able to secure it with ease. And all of it was because of the fact that I was just alive longer than my supports were in the first round. Now we'll jump into the third and final round. Once again, as Rocket, get used to trying to find those rollouts, that way you can get to the point faster. His dash in the air is 7 meters, his wall dash is 20. So you always want to be trying to utilize that wall dash as much as possible. Remember to always get creative with that res station location. And at the same time, if the fight is starting to happen and you need to get it out sooner, don't be afraid to just try and throw it someplace hidden and then get back to helping your team. You can see me here preemptively throwing out heals because I'm expecting damage to come in, but you can also see here that I am using this box as cover. So anytime I have to reload, I'm hopping behind cover and then hopping back out to heal my team. But even in this instance here, this is really good for me because of the fact that not only can I see Luna, but I have LOS of my teammates right here, but the enemy team does not have LOS of me, meaning that I am safe from damage, but I'm able to heal them still. A lot of times what you're trying to do as support is because you're trying to keep your team alive, because you're trying to apply heals, you're trying to do so from a location in which you are safe and you don't make yourself an easy target. Here, unfortunately, Peni dies, but I have the res station up, so it's okay. And hearing that my magic is ulting, I know how easy it is from playing magic to get blown up in your ultimate, so I'm moving forward to make sure that I can constantly be throwing heals her way, because right now, her ultimate is our win condition for this fight. And I know that if she's ulting, the enemy team is going to try and focus her, so I want to try and focus her with my heals. The moment they pulled out the Luna ult, I started to back up and give up space, knowing that we probably weren't going to secure a kill, but seeing that Bucky secured a kill, now I can start to move forward a little bit more. Understand how far you can push forward as a support and still stay safe is a skill, because the more forward you play, the more help you might be able to give your team, but also the more you put yourself at risk. So if you find that you're dying a lot as support, you're usually in a bad position, and most of the time playing too far up front. Knowing I had my ultimate ready, I moved in to place it more aggressively, and just like I did before, by placing it up high, I split the team in half. Now the enemy team doesn't have an easy LOS of my ultimate, but my Bucky can take full advantage of it. So now the enemy team has no choice but to back up and give up space. But because Hela had used her ultimate, she's already cut off from the rest of her team. You can see here, as I see my team moving up, I'm going to move up with them. A lot of times the tanks are going to try and take as much space as possible, and they're not really going to turn around to see where you are. So if your tanks move up, you got to try and move up with them to try and make sure that they stay alive. But here, because they're down a player, we do have an advantage, so it is a lot safer for us to walk up right now. You can see that push and pull perfectly here. As the enemy team is starting to regroup, our mag starts to poke and continuously back up, and because I'm close to getting my res station back up, I want to back up so I have the opportunity to place it somewhere in case we need it. As Rocket, I am always telling people how close I am to getting my res station, or if I'm going to stop healing temporarily in order to place it down somewhere. Even if I break it and I want to reposition it, I let my team know to play safe for the next 5 seconds so that way I can place it down in a much closer spot. The range of his res beacon is 50 meters and it's pretty big, but at the same time, as that push and pull is constantly happening, you constantly want to be shifting it if need be. This right here is what I mean by, as a strategist, you make a great shot caller. The tanks are doing their job of holding space up front, but because of the fact that I am backing up and I can see them, I can also see what the Wolverine is doing, and I'm communicating to my team what the enemy team is doing, and hopefully helping them out by letting them know what enemies are flanking, where, and when. As I'm throwing heals out, I'm throwing heals not just through my support and my tank, but I'm also trying to be mindful of Magic, who's all the way in the back, and make sure my orbs can reach her as well if need be. With Luna using her ultimate, it means that I can left click a lot more as Rocket and start to try and secure kills with my team. One of the things that people get wrong about these invincibility ultimates with Luna and Invis and Cloak is that if you don't secure kills with those ultimates, it's also bad. Is that while they're meant to keep people alive and deny plays from happening, if you use those ultimates and you don't secure kills with those ultimates, you're putting your team at a disadvantage. It's one of the big reasons as to why I like Rocket Ultimate so much, is because Rocket's ultimate isn't used to deny plays, it's used to make plays. If I and my team position well, I can keep them up a lot of times through my base healing alone. And with the use of my ultimate, I can time it properly and place it properly so that way I secure the fight for us. And mind you, all of this footage is when Rocket's ultimate was at 25% damage boost and not 40% like it is now. As a support, you're really good at clearing out squids as well as Loki totems and Loki clones. So if your team doesn't need immediate healing, try to help them out with that. Knowing that the map was going to shift, I did call it out at the time that it was going to shift and my team was going to get cut off. I didn't want to be cut off in there with them. So I pulled back to keep myself alive. And here's that res station at work yet again. My support was cut off, and because of it, the enemy team jumped her and got a quick and easy pick, but because of the res station, I'm able to negate that mistake for my team. So while this point would have been really difficult to defend if she weren't here, because I positioned well and I stayed alive and my res beacon stayed up, it allowed time for my Luna to come back, and in this moment here, Brandon is using the Peni ult so that way he can buy us more space and more time. It's already getting really close to 99% here on the objective, so we're trying to buy as much time as possible to get that to 99% at the very least. You can see here, as the enemy goes around on the left-hand side and as they start to push up, I start to back up and give up that space. I do not want to be an easy target. I do not want to be standing in the open. I want to have a full sight of my entire team and let them know what's happening and make sure I am in a safe spot so that way hopefully I can send my orbs to everybody on the field. Also, what you're going to see me do a lot of times is shift where I'm placing my orbs. As soon as you launch an orb directly at someone, if you shoot another orb and one orb is already healing them, that second orb will pass right through them. So a lot of the times what I'm doing in order to try and maximize how much healing I have on my team is I'm constantly shooting orbs in different places, so that way none of my orbs get wasted by passing through my allies twice. This is also the second time that Wolf had ulted my team and I was nowhere near it and I was still able to help my team out. Wolf ultimate is really powerful, but it typically requires a couple more hits after they get knocked down in order for them to die, but because of the fact that I'm never in that ultimate, I'm able to help my team out. Here the enemy Luna had ulted, which bought them some space, and our mag decided to ult, and I could play up and play more aggressive because they weren't going to be able to shoot me with mag ult going on. Because Magneto is using his ultimate, I'm going to throw heals his way to try and hopefully help him secure a pick. Once again, I'm using Rocket's ultimate to cut the enemy team in half, and now they have a very difficult time seeing the ult to try and break it. But this is one of the risky parts about playing Rocket and using your ult aggressively, is that by doing so, you also need to be tracking the enemy team's ultimates because they might be able to use it to kill you and secure you even through your ult. Now, upon hearing the enemy Magneto ult, I want to try and get out of here as soon as possible. After using my ult to play aggressively, now that I don't have it and being the only solo support, I want to try and back up and get someplace safe. And once again, you always see me trying to utilize and find cover where I can reload from safety. The biggest problem I see from support players is they're playing directly next to their DPS and directly next to your tanks. You make yourself too easy of a target to access, and you want to make sure the enemy team is using resources to get to you, so that way it puts them in danger. And now with Bucky ulting here, I'm going to try and prioritize keeping my team alive until I can buy time for my Luna to come back. Here, unfortunately, our Bucky fell and so did our Magneto, but luckily Magneto was able to take advantage of the res beacon that the enemy team didn't know was there. And now, because I prioritized having good positioning and staying alive and keeping my team alive, I bought enough time for our Luna to come back. Brandon does a really good job of also kiting around the center there to try and stay alive as long as possible and just trying to stay out of the LOS of the Punisher ult. We're doing a really good job of just contesting this point and getting the objective to 99%. Our Luna had called out that Iron Fist was on the back and I didn't turn to see fast enough. I also made the mistake of playing a little too aggressively here. Without having my DPS, there was really no reason for me to push up that far, but I was moving forward to try and see if I could help secure kills in any way and try to secure the objective. But because I was no longer putting Luna in front of me, I wasn't able to get her heals and keep her alive in this moment. And like I said before in the earlier round, as Rocket, I typically like to be at the very back so I can see my entire team and apply heals to everybody. So now in this moment, Iron Fist is going to try and jump on top of me next, so I need to make myself difficult to kill. And there you saw the power of wall dashes. By being able to use one dash to immediately dash directly towards my Peni nest, I put myself in a dangerous spot up close next to the enemy team, but also close enough to my Peni that she could help defend me. And I used a second wall dash to be able to shoot myself up in the air and make myself too difficult for Iron Fist to reach. And even during this time, my allies are still fighting and still getting healed by me. So even though I was actively getting dove, Iron Fist wasn't getting a whole lot of value because of the fact that I was still helping my team out. So in this exchange, I was providing a lot more value for my team. And there you saw that even though my supports first round were having a really difficult time staying alive, as Rocket, I didn't have a difficult time staying alive at all. And even though my team got entirely stomped in that first point, we were able to easily secure the other 2 points, and the enemy team couldn't even cap the objective once. And it was just due to the fact that I was able to have greater uptime than my supports were able to in the first round. You can even see from the stats here at the end that the enemy team overall had more healing than my team did. But it didn't matter because of the fact that we were able to control the objective better. And through the use of Rocket's base heals, my ability to survive, my res beacon, and my ability to make plays off of my ultimate, it helped my team secure the win. Now I'm going to show you one more game on Rocket, but this time using a convoy map. In this round, I'm going to be playing Rocket on my ult account Devil Child with my friends Brandon and Rhino. My main was C3 and my ult account was GM1, so these weren't far off from each other. But here, as the round is starting, I'm going to try and put my res location in a unique spot. I placed it up there on the awning, and this was not a spot that I had discovered. It was actually one I'd seen another Rocket do. Res stations that are high up a lot of the time stay alive longer, unless they have some sort of flyer or Spider-Man swinging around. So my default is to try and put it in a high up location unless I see Spidey or a flyer, in which that case I will break it and I'll try and put it down someplace lower. And now I'll put myself into position to be able to see and help my team from a far back position. Here I immediately position myself on the high ground because that for me is the best place to see my allies but also keep safe. It's also great because then I can bounce the orbs off of their feet much easier. But being back here, I can see the flank position on my left and I can see my teammates down main. My tank's job is to try and hold space in main, and my job is to try and watch our flanks and communicate that to them in case we are being flanked. You can see here that once Star-Lord starts to pressure us out, I immediately back up to find cover and then I drop down below because he is now contesting that space. I go down below and now I can see my allies being attacked by Venom, and I immediately position myself back into a doorway again in which Venom can't see me, but I can still see my teammates. Here I can pass my orbs through my teammates much more efficiently and I can keep myself safe. Dives are only effective if they can secure a kill on you or if they can stop you from healing. If you can still stay alive and heal, dives are very ineffective. And as Rocket, my ability to survive is the highest of all of the supports. Hella got an excellent pick on Star-Lord because he had overextended too far trying to get to me. And once I had dropped down below, it was great for a second there, but then once I realized I had to look right to see Hela and left to see my support, I wanted to reposition myself at the very back so that way everyone was in front of me. I always want to put everyone in front of me so that way my orbs can get the maximum value without me having to constantly swivel around. And here, there's a lot of cover, plus the ambulance behind me works great for wall dashes. As Strange is pushed forward, he can't tell that I'm pushed so far back, so I need to walk up and trying to provide heals for him to help him get out. At this point, the game isn't very interesting. Our main goal is to just try and survive because we're just trying to hold the objective down. We just want to keep the cart from moving, so the most important thing is that my team stays alive, and I can help my team stay alive by providing them with the most efficient heals and also keeping myself alive. You always see me that once I get close to having my ultimate that I want to try and use it a lot of times and use it aggressively. Place it too far back and your team can't utilize it very well. Too far forward, the enemies might destroy it. But here, because I was charging my ult so fast, I wanted to use it as soon as possible to try and get some kills and hopefully buy us some more time. Especially since Cloak and Dagger is down right now, I love using Rocket's ultimate in a 6v5 because then it allows us to continue the staggers for longer, and the odds of them breaking my ult in a 6v5 are much, much lower. So most of the time as Rocket, you're always going to see me hanging as far back as possible away from the danger, but when I have my ultimate, I want to use it aggressively and I want to help my team use it. Now that I was able to help my team secure some kills, I go back to my far away position in which I can provide heals for my team, but also make myself difficult to reach. At this point in time, I had hit tab and I had noticed that our Invis woman wasn't close enough to her ult yet to counter with it, so I am communicating to my team, back up, we cannot match it. So I'm telling them to kite backwards, and that way we can prioritize our heals on just keeping them alive and letting the enemy team have a little bit of space temporarily so we can buy enough time for our Invis woman to get her ultimate. My Hela, Strange, and teammates might not be able to see everything that's going on right now, but I can, so it's my job to communicate to them what they should be doing. Because while they're busy focusing on other things, I can use this moment to help guide their decisions. And because we were able to kite back so successfully, we were able to buy enough time for our Invis woman to get her ultimate and use it not just to counter the Cloak and Dagger ultimate, but also the Bucky ultimate. And that's 2 for 1, and that's a great deal for us. And also here, because I'm so close to the ambulance, I can use it as cover, but also because it's a great place for me to use my wall dash to send myself straight up. Here, the enemy team combined Venom and Luna ultimate together to secure 3 kills in a really great play. And now that we're down people, Brandon as Peni is going to use his ultimate to try and buy us more time for my team to come back and keep the convoy from moving. I'm going to try and apply heals to him, but I can also see that one of my allies is still alive in the top left there, and I can't reach them, and I don't have LOS of them. But this is where Rocket's orbs come in handy. Because of the fact that I can bounce them to him, there's still a chance that I could provide him with heals even though I can't see him. This is one of the many reasons as to why I like playing Rocket so much. No other support has the ability to reach allies like he does. Unfortunately, I let my Invis woman die. I didn't see that she got so low so quickly, because I was focused on trying to get my Doctor Strange out of there. And even though Venom went to attack me, you saw how useful it was for me to wall dash straight up in the air and keep myself alive, but also give myself an aerial position in which I can shoot heals at my allies by holding space to keep myself descending slowly. And once Venom felt like it was pointless to keep trying to attack me, he decided to go after my teammates instead. Here, even though my teammates are dead, I charged my ult so quickly yet again that I was able to use another one, and I'm using this one to control the momentum of the fight. My teammates are on their way back now, and through the use of my ultimate, I might be able to keep Strange here alive a little bit longer, so that way we can keep contesting the convoy. I'm not using this ultimate to try and secure kills necessarily. I'm using this ultimate to control our momentum so that way we don't lose it, because we've done a really great job surviving thus far, and I want to try and extend that time if I can. Here we can see Star-Lord ulting, and because of the fact that I'm always positioning myself near cover and I'm always positioning myself near doorways, I'm able to hide from Star-Lord's ult a lot more effectively. As a support, I'm rarely ever getting shot by Star-Lord's ult and being taken out by it because of the fact that I'm always positioning myself near cover. While I understand that Star-Lord's ult is incredibly powerful, if you know it's coming, you can prepare for it by putting yourself near cover and near doorways in order to try and survive it. And in these rooms, I can still apply heals to the rest of my teammates. Here we're down Strange, so we lost a little bit of space, and I'm backing up once again because I don't have my ultimate, and because I want to have full LOS of my teammates. Now that Star-Lord's ult is done, it's much safer for me to walk back out here again. But because we're down one, I'm not going to play aggressive. My main goal right now is just to keep my team alive and hopefully hold the convoy down.
A little help, please. Feeling fantastic.
That isn't the best place to put the res beacon, but because of the fact that the fight was already starting, I didn't have time to put it someplace closer or someplace safe. So I was hoping by putting it over there, it would still provide me value in some way.
Systems restart. Only 60 seconds left.
The Strange didn't communicate that he was going to portal back onto the point, and I didn't actually see him there, so I had rotated over to the side once I noticed to try and shoot heals his way. But by placing myself so far back, I was able to see Brandon and Rhino on my left, but also go to the right and apply heals that way if need be. But I'm still near cover, I'm still far away from the LOS of the enemy team. And here once again, I'm all the way at the back, I'm trying to provide heals to my entire team and throw orbs not just at my support and Brandon, but also to the Strange who's at the very back there. And now once again, as the enemy team is ulting, I say that we have nothing to match it to try and survive and kite back, because right now we're trying to buy time until either me or Rhino can get our ultimates to help our team out. And that right there is why I love playing Rocket so much, because of the fact that I was able to provide heals in such an effective way. But once we started to get overwhelmed by the enemy team's ultimates, I was able to take that extremely efficient angle that I had and wall dash myself to a much safer place after the fight was lost. Now here, I'm backing up and I'm healing my teammates as I'm communicating that we need to back up, give up space, and regroup. But because my wall dashes send me so far back, I'm able to get myself to a much safer spot that also could provide heals in a very efficient way. Once again, you see that once I have my ultimate, I start playing a lot more aggressive and I start using it to play up a bit more. Now I'm hoping in this moment we can secure at least a single kill, which provides a lot of value for our team and can help us retake control over this convoy. There I dropped myself into a really bad spot near my teammates and almost ended up getting myself killed, but through the use of Rocket's wall climb, I was able to get myself to safety. I dropped my res station, but then I broke it right away just in case Venom was going to try and destroy it, so I was going to put it back up in a second or two. But we were still able to secure 2 kills with my ultimate, which meant that we won the fight. At the same time, we also forced Luna ult, and because she didn't save any of her teammates with that ultimate, it provided no value for her team. This is why I'm not as big a fan of the invincibility ultimates over the playmaking ultimates. I would much rather kite away from those invincibility ultimates and give up space temporarily and use the playmaking ultimates to win the fight instead. Now that Venom has retreated, I drop my res station in a location that's close to my allies, but also out of the LOS of the enemy team. One thing to remember about buildings that rebuild themselves, if you place Rocket's ultimate on top of those buildings and they start to rebuild, it will destroy Rocket's ultimate. So a lot of the times you want to have those buildings either rebuild as soon as possible, or at the very least try to avoid placing your ultimate on top of those locations. Here you see Star-Lord ult again, and once again I am safe because I am positioned near cover. Our Invis woman uses her ultimate to try and keep her teammates alive, and I try to move into the ultimate to try and provide support to my Doctor Strange who's just outside of it. Unfortunately, we don't get there in time. Luckily, he was still close enough for the res station, so once again, the power of the res station is shown right here. They used Star-Lord ult and they got a single pick out of it, but it didn't even matter because it was countered by a basic ability. And now that I don't have my ultimate, once again, I am backing up to keep myself alive and keep LOS of the entire team, but also be able to watch our left-hand side. Here, once again, we don't have anything to match the Cloak and Dagger ult, and I see that my Doctor Strange is playing aggressive once again, so I use the wall dash in order to get myself a better view so that way I could provide him with heals and keep him alive. Setting yourself up in the air and hovering back down is a great way to try and get LOS of your entire team and provide heals to people that normally you wouldn't be able to reach. And once again, with Cloak and Dagger ultimate, they weren't able to secure any kills with the ultimate, so it didn't really matter. Ultimates should be used to secure kills. And when your supports use ultimates like that to keep you alive, it's imperative that you actually try and secure kills during them. Otherwise, it's a waste because staying alive is not enough. You still need to take control over the objective.
Pick up your toys, Moon Knight.
The way this Hela is chasing down this Spidey is really smart. Spidey is really annoying to deal with, and a DPS does better to mark him than a support or a tank does. So even though Spidey swung all the way in here to try and set up to dive the backline, Hela said, no, I'm not going to let that happen. So she immediately goes to chase him down. While Hela was chasing Spidey, I was trying to be mindful of what she was doing and keep an eye on her in case she needed heals, but also make sure that my team in front didn't need my help. I'm providing heals towards the front, I'm getting ready to place my res station down, and I'm preparing to get dove by Spidey and making sure I can get to cover if need be. So luckily, once I got myself to safety, Hela was able to secure the pick on Spidey. Here, by hanging so far back, I was able to see the Moon Knight flanking from up above, which is one of my worries whenever I'm standing in this position as support. When the enemy team tries to take advantage of those different flank routes and I'm able to call it out ahead of time, I'm able to prepare my team for what to expect. Keeping your team alive isn't just providing heals, it's helping prevent the enemies from being able to make plays. As I go up in the air to get a better vantage point and see what my team is doing, I see Spidey go to the room on my right. Knowing he's over there, I position myself in this little cubby up here that keeps me out of his LOS and makes me much more difficult to reach, but I can still see my teammates easily. I throw some orbs towards Hela to help her with the 1v1 with Spidey, but the moment I see my Strange is critical, he becomes my priority because I need to keep him up as he's being focused harder right now. In that moment, even though the enemy team had used one of their support ults, I didn't want to use my support ult right away. I want to try and get my teammates to back up and use Rocket's base healing in order to keep them alive because of the fact that if I launch my ultimate at the same time that Luna's ultimate is up, the enemy team is just going to melt directly through Rocket's ult. I would rather wait out Luna's ultimate and use it to clean up and finish the fight than use it to try and keep my teammates alive. Because anytime a Rocket is ult at the same time as a Cloak and Dagger, an Invis, or a Luna ult is up, they're just going to burn right through it. So always try to time it for the end of those ults if you can. My ult should have been placed more aggressively and more forward to get more value. And unfortunately, we end up losing this team fight. We end up losing Peni. And we can't follow up on the Strange ult as I'm trying to keep my teammates alive. But you still see me backing up and giving up a lot of space because of the fact that I lack my ultimate, but I'm also still sitting near cover at all times. I'm always positioning myself in a way in which I can see my allies, but I have easy access to cover when I need it. As the enemy Strange starts to collapse in on my team, I've already backed up and put myself in a position to where I'm behind cover and I can still see my teammates and provide them with heals safely. But I'm still very difficult for the Strange to access me. I was hanging back waiting for my res station to pop up so I could save one of my teammates, and unfortunately I wasn't able to get it in time. And even though Venom was diving me and pushed me out of my safe location, due to the fact that I can very easily wall climb and get around corners very quickly, I brought myself back to safety, and here I can still help and heal my team up. And even though Star-Lord ult is going off, me and my teammates are relatively safe from it. As you hear Spider-Man sort of whip around you, you kind of have to rotate in and out of cover to stay out of his LOS. The way that you stay alive as support is you rotate away from the danger. When you hear someone on your right, you want to move towards the left. When you see someone approaching you from the front, you want to move backwards. Supports are all about positioning and rotating away from the danger. Here you see that as my team is getting an advantage, I rotate away from one safe area of cover to the next safe area of cover so I can provide better heals for my team, but still always safe. And even there where Star-Lord was trying to get me, I was able to make a quick escape utilizing the health pack and utilizing my own personal healing and also my wall climb. The more uptime you provide in a game, the more the enemy team is going to try and target you directly, because they're going to recognize that you're the one piece holding this entire team together. Now here on offense, I'm going to try and hang back still just to try and see what the enemy team's comp is and what their positioning is. I'm going to let my tanks and DPS go out first to try and explore and see what's going on. Depending on how much pressure they're holding up front will depend on whether or not I put my res beacon out a little bit farther or whether or not I throw it into spawn. If they're pressuring up close, I'm going to keep it in the spawn. But if we get a little bit of space, I'm going to try and throw it up a little bit farther so that way if any of my DPS are trying to flank and they fail, they'll get res. You kind of have to play it by ear for res beacon. Unfortunately, our Bucky died, but luckily he got the res beacon, and once Cap started to pressure our Penny on the right, I was able to provide heals, and Bucky was able to back her up and secure the kill on the Cap, which means that we now have space to move forward. Here, as we start to take space, I rotate to the left and I position myself behind cover, and here I can see my Luna, Strange, Bucky, and Penny all at once and heal them all within the same shot. So in this moment, I'm providing my team with a lot of value while also being incredibly safe in my positioning. Venoms and dive tanks really like to dive on the backline on convoy maps to try and fight the supports while they're on the payload because of the fact that they can't push them off of the payload very easily. Anytime this happens, your team needs to work together to try and push the Venom off of the convoy and off your support so you can get moving again. In between throwing out my healing orbs, I was also trying to throw in some left click damage in there to try and help push Venom off sooner. Hearing Bucky ult, I move forward to try and help back him up, but also I kind of put myself in a very risky position by putting myself right in front of Torch. Our Angela was luckily able to secure the kill on her, but at the same time, I was very lucky that I didn't die. I did put myself into too risky of a position, and it was only sort of luck that it worked out in my favor. Once again, knowing that I charge Rocket's ultimate really fast, the moment I get it, and the moment that they're down and it's already a 6v5, I want to immediately turn that into a 1-team fight and stagger them even harder. Rocket's ult does pretty okay in a 6v6, but in a 6v5, it makes for easy cleanup, and if we win this 6v5, I know it'll guarantee us the first point. And if you know the enemy team doesn't have ultimates that you don't have to worry about, don't be afraid to go in there and start doing damage with your ult. That overshield that it provides will keep you safe a lot of times from anything that isn't a giant ultimate. And Rocket's damage up close, especially on tanks, will absolutely shred with the amplifier. And once again, this is with the 25% damage boost and not the 40%, so it's even more effective now. Once again, I'm telling my team to kite back because we don't have anything to match the Cloak and Dagger ult, but they were forced to use it at an inopportune time when they don't have their full team here. And once again, the support ultimates are only effective as long as your team can win the fight by securing kills with it. But as long as we kite backwards and stay alive, we'll come out on top after this exchange. And with my res beacon up, there's an even greater chance that we win this fight. Finding moments like that to apply damage and following up on the Strange ult will help you secure more wins because of the fact that you can follow up on your team's plays. Most of the time, if your teams are fighting 6v6, you might have to default to doing a lot of heal botting, especially as you get up to the higher ranks, but when you have the numbers advantage, you can definitely find times to weave some damage in there. Here you see that once we push the enemies back and I know it's safe, I break my res station, I wall dash to get deeper in there, and I start to shoot the environment piece in the middle to cause it to rebuild sooner so I can utilize it. But I tell my team to play safe as I'm moving forward to push my res beacon up. There you saw me briefly think of where I wanted to put the res beacon and where it might be best, and putting it in that little cubby up there is a great little blind spot that they typically don't look. So I'm now setting myself up to prepare for what would be probably the last fight. There, once again, you hear Star-Lord ulting, but I am immediately near cover and I can get myself to safety, and now Luna's out there and she can help my team out. Ultimates are used to win fights and secure kills, so the best thing I can do in this moment is just stay safe until Star-Lord's ult runs out, and then we can try and make a counterattack. My ability to always position myself near cover and rotate from one piece of cover to the next is the reason why I can keep my death count so low. By predicting what the enemy is going to do and what damage to look out for, I'm able to keep my average deaths on all of my heroes at under 5. The more time you're alive, the more uptime you have, the more ultimates that you can charge, the more resources you can pull. Rocket being so small and his wall dash being so fast that I'm able to shoot myself up into the air and provide heals to my teammates in 2 different locations, and also just hang out in the blind spot of a lot of enemies. They're going to be so tunnel vision on my teammates that a lot of the times they don't even bother looking up. And there we have the win.
3, 2, 1.
And here you see another game where overall our team had less healing, but we still managed to win the game. By prioritizing our survival and stalling out the objective, and controlling that momentum by using well-placed and well-timed ultimates, we were able to win this game with relative ease. Rocket's ability to survive, have a lot of uptime, and has an ultimate that's more about making plays rather than just denying, makes him an incredibly strong pick as a support. And I know people typically think of Rocket as you just sit back, you hold right click, and you heal your team as a heal bot, but you see that in order to survive at Rocket, you have to move around a lot. You have to constantly be rotating your position from high ground to low ground and back again. Also being able to push forward very quickly, push backward very quickly, or even just use your wall dashes to get in the air to provide you with a better angle to see your allies, or to provide you a quick escape from divers. You do not express your skill with Rocket through his ability to click heads, or simply just output more damage or more healing than the enemy team. You express your skill through your movement and your positioning, and through the creative ways and creative places you can place your ultimate to get the most amount of value out of it. A lot of times his ultimate is used not just to try and deny plays, but to try and make plays and secure that numbers advantage or to hold onto it for longer. When you understand how to control the momentum and the tempo of the fight, Rocket becomes an incredibly powerful pick because of how often he can get his ultimate and how powerful it is if used correctly. He's especially powerful when you're playing defense on a map because of the fact that his ability to stay alive and his uptime makes him one of the best supports in the game. I feel that Rocket gets a lot of hate because of the fact that people expect him to be played like all of the other supports, and he's not like the other supports. He's not going to be able to deny big enemy ultimates like Star-Lord or Human Torch. He's not going to be able to add a lot of the damage in the neutral of the fight like Luna's Clap can. But at the same time, in a game where everyone is trying to always target the supports, the fact that I'm alive longer and alive more often means that I can provide more value than other supports can. Because I understand this is an objective-based game, and greater uptime means greater chances to control the objective. And although the skill floor of healing as Rocket is very easy to do, there's a very big difference between someone you can tell who's filling on Rocket and someone who plays Rocket, if used correctly. He's especially powerful when you're playing defense on a map because of the fact that his ability to stay alive and his uptime makes him one of the best supports in the game. I feel that Rocket gets a lot of hate because of the fact that people expect him to be played like all of the other supports, and he's not like the other supports. He's not going to be able to deny big enemy ultimates like Star-Lord or Human Torch. He's not going to be able to add a lot of the damage in the neutral of the fight like Luna's Clap can. But at the same time, in a game where everyone is trying to always target the supports, the fact that I'm alive longer and alive more often means that I can provide more value than other supports can. Because I understand this is an objective-based game, and greater uptime means greater chances to control the objective. And although the skill floor of healing as Rocket is very easy to do, there's a very big difference between someone you can tell who's filling on Rocket and someone who plays Rocket. Anyway, I hope you found this video helpful, and I was able to help show why I think Rocket is so powerful and why he's such a great support, and why I have found so much success with him in Season 4. Hopefully after you watch this, you can find equal success.